Okay, so we're going to spend some time for Integrity Capital talking about USP. And USP is unique selling proposition. So does anybody want to take a crack at what do I mean by a unique selling proposition? Hint, it's in the name.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, your selling points are very unique.
Yeah, so simply put is this: something very specific that sets you apart from your competition, right? That's really what we're talking about today, is what is our unique selling proposition in the marketplace. That's what we're going to talk about today is, what is it, which we just kind of defined. Why does it matter? I think it's important to understand who cares. Why does it matter? How do you go about determining your unique selling proposition as a company? And then what is our specific USP? And so we're going to spend a little bit of time going through some of these, and then we'll talk about them. So why does it matter? So before I chime in on this, like, what do you guys think? Why does it matter to have a unique selling proposition? What do you think?
It's what sets us apart from everybody else. So when somebody says, well, what's in it for me for my 1% fee, that we can easily tell them, well, yeah, you can go pay somebody else 1%, but you're not going to get this, or pay somebody 0.5% and you're not going to even get half the value.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so this is what makes us different. This is what makes our value proposition of the fee worth it, is a good one. Tom, what else?
Well, Tom said what I was gonna say.
Tom had to sell. Tom, that was Tom.
He's so smart.
Tom's unique selling proposition was selling
selling Lana's idea.
Yeah.
It's good USP, Tom.
It's also just providing that sense of knowledge around what we sell and what the product really is and how it benefits them. And really just education.
Yeah, so having clarity on what it is that we are doing, being focused about that, and being able to educate the client on what that is. So that's good. So there are a couple things. So you can't be everything to everyone. You guys understand that? It's just not going to work being, the jack of all trades and the master of none. You've heard that before. So you have to really pick something that says, this is who we are, and this is what makes us different, because you just can't be everything to everybody. You can't say we're going to be the lowest cost provider, and then we're going to have, the best, highest quality product. Like, you start going through all these things, you have to say, no, are we going to be a Walmart? Are we going to be a, JC Penney? We're going to be a higher end, product as well. So you have to pick. The second thing is because it helps you win your type of deals, right? So it helps you win your type of deals because there's something specific that you're going after, and it helps you stand out from the crowd. The third thing is because it helps you say no to things. I don't know if you guys have figured this out by now, but we are in the business of saying no to a lot of things. We're in the business of disqualifying things. So it helps you go, well, this is what we are looking for, which as a byproduct says, well, this is what we're not looking for then, right? And so that helps also with peace of mind, ironically. When you're clear about things, then think about if you went out and you were looking for a job and you said, well, I want a job. Man, that would be really unless you had a real specific thing you're looking for, that's going to be a pretty frustrating thing because there's lots of different things you could do. But if you said, well, actually, I'm looking for, you know, I'm looking to be an attorney that focuses on, helping people who are trying to migrate here from Mexico, right? So it's real specific. And boy, is that going to make your searches really clear because you're going to be saying no to lots of things just because of that. Because as soon as something comes by, you go, nope, that doesn't fit. So, and then the final thing is because it helps you attract the right fit. Okay. Um, because once you understand who you are, then you start to draw in those ones that fit your particular model. And you're like, okay, that is exactly our fit. If all of a sudden you have a specialty in self-storage or something, then, that's going to make you stand out because people go, okay, you've done a bunch of these. It's unique. This, it fits really well for those people that say we like expertise. Okay. So, that's why it matters. I'm sure there's more ways, but those are just some of the ways to think about of why it matters. So the second thing is, how do you go about determining your USP? So like, what do you guys think? How do you go about, what process would you go about in determining your USP, your unique selling proposition?
When we study the market around us, we get an idea as to how they're doing things.
Yeah.
And so how do we differentiate ourselves
Yeah.
and stand out?
Exactly. So, you have to have a comparison, right? That's the first thing. I mean, if I'm going to go say to you, well, lawn in my house is worth $2 million. And you go, well, relative to what? And so we have to have some sort of benchmark, some sort of outside thing that says, well, this is what makes you different. This is what your benchmark is. This is what your competition is as a standard. And what do they do? That is unique. And because you don't want to be doing the same thing your competition is. Otherwise, there's nothing unique about what you do. So the first thing definitely is understand your competition. Who is it? What are they doing? What are they not doing? What are they known for in the marketplace? And is there a market for what you're trying to do? So those things are really healthy and good for you in order to work your unique selling proposition. What else? Tom or Lana, what do you guys think? How would you go about determining your USP?
I think you kind of touched on it there briefly, but just, what you're offering, is it needed in the marketplace? Is it something that does it actually add value to the experience or the process or whatever you're doing? I mean, if you're doing, house painting for, half price, but you only paint green, what's the, what are you really adding?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Just if there's no market for it, then, if you're going door to door selling cordless phones in a house, you're probably going to have a tough time because there's no need for a home phone these days, right? Everybody's got cell phones. Not everybody, but for the most part. What else? Lana, you were going to say something.
I was just thinking, taking the time to develop a plan to, um, work towards that goal of being unique, just developing a plan.
Yeah, so developing a plan to determine what those things are as well is definitely a good part of the process. And so, think about this too, like what do your customers say? What do your customers say about you?
Or what do you want your customers to say about you?
Yeah, that's a good one too. What do you want your customers to say about you? Being intentional about that. And then what do you just do well? I mean, that's some of the things you have to be aware of. We did some exercises of the H3 the other day where, we started to understand our, particular design and giftings. So it's really important you understand, what do I do well? How am I hardwired? What am I good at or not good at? And so just being aware of that is a good thing to do in order to be successful at having a unique selling proposition. So we're going to talk about our unique selling proposition, and I'm going to do it in a way that is simple, easy for you to remember, uh, but I think powerful, hopefully, in displaying the message to somebody as we're communicating with them. So, and this is, over time will get probably flushed out or more refined, but I just want you to think about the acronym PAR. So you think about golfing. This idea of hitting par is just right on the mark. We've hit what we were supposed to. It's the hole in one. And the P stands for proactive processes assuring execution. So that's the first thing we do, because remember, we want to be the most what company?
Proactive.
Active
Proactive
commercial mortgage broker.
in the
So
world.
in the world, exactly. So that's who we want to become, and therefore one of our major unique, in fact, all of these really stem around all of it, is proactiveness. But proactive processes that we go through, we have a very refined process that we go through with the intention of assuring execution. So we go through all these different steps, and it has intentionality in why we do it. Every single step we go through is just doing these things in order to assure that we have execution at the end of the day. There's a reason why we mandate that we have a backup lender, right? It's not an option. There's a reason why we have to have a signed contract from the client. Lana just did that to me the other day when I was trying to transition. She said, no, you need a signed contract. And there's a reason why, because it assures execution, as opposed to the times we didn't have a signed contract. We went all the way down to the finish line and then died, right? Because we had no recourse. So all these little things we do, which may be, meaningless per se to the client, but it is by design to assure execution. That is a unique selling proposition of ours for sure. There's not very many people that do that at all, the way that we do. So that's the first one. What do you guys think about that one? Proactive processes assuring execution. Do you agree with that or disagree?
Yeah, no, I think that when I have conversations and somebody asks, it always comes up, well, what's in it for me on my 1% fee? Yeah, I think that the highlight is definitely our proactive processes, because it's start to finish. It's not just, at one point. It's all the way through.
Yeah, so proactive process assuring execution, that's the P out of the PAR. The second one, the A, is access to excellent capital. Okay, so it's the processes, we are giving them access, okay? We are inviting them into our world that we have gone through all of the proactive process we do to find the best lenders who fit our model. High execution, low red tape. We understand how they do things, so we are giving them access. That's our proprietary thing that we have, is these relationships we fostered, have a history with. Because think about it, if you're a borrower, maybe you do this once in your life or once or a couple times a year, whatever, but we're doing it every day, day in and day out, dealing with lenders, closing loans. We have the history, we have the knowledge, we have the access to this excellent capital that we are providing to them. So that's a proprietary thing that we are saying you can enter into our world, as opposed to you trying to figure this out on your own. And maybe you get there, maybe you don't, but you're going to Vegas and rolling the dice, where we know who's lending, who's not, how they work, how it gets done, all these things. So we have access to that information. So that's an intellectual property thing that we're offering to them, is access intellectually to this excellent capital. A lot of times I'll say that to clients. They'll say, well, why should I pay the 1%? I said, you're not paying me 1% because I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work hard, don't get me wrong, but you're paying me because of the intellectual property I have. I have access to lenders that you don't. I have relationships with people you don't. And that's what you're paying me for, okay? So what do you guys think about that? Access to excellent capital.
Yeah, I think it's very valid because whenever well, I wouldn't say whenever, but a lot of times when I talk to somebody and I ask them, which lenders have you talked to or where have you reached out? It's always, well, talk to Wells Fargo and Chase. I'm waiting for them to respond.
Yep.
And it's, a lot of people just don't understand that it's not like buying a house. It's not cookie cutter, the same terms or the same, it's a different animal. Not every lender lends on the same house in commercial mortgage world. So.
Yeah, I naturally actually plug these into anytime I'm out with a client I'm trying to build a relationship with, which is so unique, is like we talk proactive, but also the lending partners that we work with, the long-standing relationships that we have, and then the access to them. And it's funny, you watch people's eyes just kind of like open up, like, really interesting. So it works, and it's something that maybe they don't always hear from other representatives they work with.
Yeah, that's good, Dan. Yeah, so we're giving them this, this access to this intellectual property, which is the excellent capital. Okay. So proactive processes, assuring execution, access to excellent capital. And then the final one, which might seem a little bit not like it is, but I can tell you, I guarantee it is the R is responsive communication. This is a big, big deal, and it is actually what sets us apart. And you go, well, how do you know that, Dave? Well, ironically, I went through the process of going through our reviews online. We have 42 of them now, 5 stars. This is the reason why we get a lot of deals online. And almost, I shouldn't say all of them, but the majority of the theme through the whole thing was that. They were on top of it. They were responsive to me. I knew things were getting done. I knew where I stood, da, 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 da. I mean, so it was this responsive communication that really sets us apart. And I know that sounds silly, but I got to tell you something. I mean, I've done so much business, and almost the number one reason there's issues is because of the lack of communication and the lack of responsiveness. And you can't get somebody to call you back. And I mean, you just hear it all the time and see it all the time. And I remember when I was in college, and a guy came in and he said, if you really want to stand out, he said, return the phone call the same day. And I was like, that is stupid. And boy, was he 100% right. It was just spot on. Like that was the thing. That is one of the major things that sets us apart from our competition, is we are responsive, we're communicative, they know where they stand, and we're just going to get better. I mean, some of the technology we have now that Lon is using is just going to make it even better on the way that we communicate with people. So you understand, when you're talking to somebody, all you have to think about is PAR. We're PAR. We are proactive in our processes, which is sure execution. We have access to excellent capital, that's our intellectual property, and we are responsive and we communicate very, very well. That really is, that is something I know we do internally, and that is the feedback that we've gotten directly and consistently from clients. So we know that's the way they see us, right? And every single one of these is proactive. I mean, we proactively have gone out to get access to capital. We don't just wait and figure it out. We are already looking and vetting and going through and sifting. The responsiveness communication is proactive because we're not waiting. We are proactively doing it. And obviously our processes. We are building processes in advance, as difficult as it is, and sometimes it makes you go bananas. It pays off, because you realize, oh gosh, if I just follow my process, then this stuff gets meted out over time. So what do you guys think about that? Do you feel like that is correct, not correct? Would you add or subtract anything that I'm missing?
Well, for me, I just want to, mine's just a comment. I liked the A, knowing, just you explaining about the access to the excellent capital, that it's just better understanding for me, like what is, like what you were saying about the 1%. I've never been asked that, but it's just kind of nice to know, that all of those different things that you mentioned. I wrote them down because it's good information.
Good.
So,
On it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely our value proposition for sure.
mhm.
What else, guys? What are your thoughts about that, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's good. I always kind of focus on the fact that we're proactive, and that we have lenders that can get deals done. We know where lenders can get deals done. But yeah, I think the responsive communication is a good point, because that's something that it's almost expected. It's like, it's one of those things where it's all like, I'm leaving the house, I'm gonna put clothes on. It's expected of you. If somebody contacts you, you call them back. But people don't do it, and there's plenty of examples, that where I've talked to people in the past, and it's, oh, I'm waiting for this lender to get back to me. Like, well, yeah, I started reaching out to so and so, but I'm just waiting to hear from them. And obviously our Google reviews do support the fact that yes, we're doing. It's sad to say we're doing what we're supposed to, but it's something that is definitely a value add. um, you know.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I remember going into one of my board meetings, and one of the head guys in there said, he goes, Dave, half the battle in leadership is just showing up. And, and when I thought of it, I was like, yeah, he's actually right. Just actually doing what you should be doing, which is showing up on time. It just
Yeah.
seems like such a simple concept, but it's something that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so that definitely makes you stand out when the majority of the people are not doing that. And so yeah, that's good. What about you, Dan? Anything stand out before we land the plane on this?
Yeah, I think that what's so nice is that it's already integrated in who we are and what we already are as a team and our culture here. So I love that it's a good blend, but also it's definitely a key indicator of how we are unique. And also it's not just us. We don't believe this and it's just all about us. It's everyone else is saying the same thing too, which further validates that we are different and unique in our own way. So
Yeah.
I think that's really special. And sadly, people usually remember the worst things, not the best things.
True.
So
Yeah.
when we are getting that positive feedback, it just shows that we're not leaving anyone with anything negative to say. So
Yeah.
the consistency is key.
That's true. And we've definitely had our share of successful failures, as you guys know. And we just learn from them, right? We take those and we learn from them so that we can be better at being these things to people. And so I've certainly had my share of failures over 17 years that, is a lot of the reasons we have this form the way we do. So yeah, I just wanted to spend some time today to just walk through that for you guys. A lot of this was brought up by Tom, just to say, what am I saying to these people? And it's like, hey, why should I pay your 1%? And what makes you guys unique? That's what you'll say to them, Tom and Dan and anybody else that comes on here, is it's proactive processes, access to excellent capital, and responsive communication. That's what you're paying for. And here's the beauty of it. If you say that to somebody and they go, yeah, that doesn't really mean anything to me. Guess what? You just found out who you don't want to work with.
Yeah, not the client for
Mhm.
us.
That's the beauty of it. You've just done yourself a great favor by making sure you're not going to work with them. But conversely, you will probably get somebody that goes, yeah, okay, cool. I'm on board with that. And because they get it and that's who they are and you're fitting with the right person, which, goes back to the, screening things we do for making sure we're fitting with the right people as well. So, all those things help you and helps them to make sure we got a good match so that we can have a good, experience at the end of the day. So makes sense.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good.